Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Algorand. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so within the previous video, what we were talking about is the potential that what we could have here is a bigger fourth wave developing. Now, we were saying that it's possible that this fourth wave is still incomplete and we could still see continuation up here before seeing this push to the downside. Now, the target area we were talking about was this 1475, saying as long as we stay below this level, the idea of this actually developing still as a five-wave structure to the downside, potential target being here at this 0830 to this 0665 could still look to play out. Now, if we are looking at this move, there is a couple of ways we can look at this. We could argue that this fourth wave is already completed there, and what we could have is 1212 here, in which case what we're looking for is a bigger breakdown. So keeping an eye on that idea that this could be a series of ones and twos, what I'm still keeping an eye out for here is the possibility that we could start to break down in a bigger way, where this is actually 1212, and what this means is that we'd effectively be looking for a bigger break to the downside. Now, this would only get confirmed by a bigger push down here towards at least the 0968 region. The problem that I have within this count now is that if this is the case, we would be looking for the potential that this move from here would effectively be 1, 2. This would be our wave 3, would be looking for a fourth and a fifth. Now, invalidation of this idea would come by crossing back above this 1128. And what we'd be saying here is that effectively we have this move here as an expanding diagonal followed by an expanding flat. Now, these are not the most common structures, particularly the expanding diagonal. The flat is alright, but effectively we would need to see quite a violent drop down here to confirm this, because both of these are very volatile structures. So if we do see price starting to fall off in a bigger way, effectively this 0990 would be the target area, would be looking for this, and this would then be looking for that potential of a fourth and a fifth, which would push us to that 0980. Now, if we do get a move in that way, effectively this would potentially look to push us down towards this 1618. If we do move down towards this 0968 region, this would then tie in with the idea that this move is starting to extend out from here, where we have a series of ones and twos. Now, what we need to also be careful of here is that there isn't something like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as a diagonal pattern here, in which case we could see a bigger three-wave move to the upside, which fails to take this high, but then still looks for that rejection and a break to the downside. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on both of these different ideas here. The reason I wouldn't really like this, unless we get quite a quick retracement here, is because I wouldn't want to see the structure getting much bigger than this. If we're looking at series of ones and twos, we want to see the wave twos getting smaller and smaller. So effectively, I wouldn't like to see this get too big if we do see something like a diagonal here. However, there is also the potential that we talked about this in the previous video, that what we could have is that this is A, B, C, and we're looking for a more complex D wave. Now, it is possible that this D wave could actually be looking to complete here, where instead of having this as a series of ones and twos, we could potentially have this as a W, an X, and a Y as a more complex D wave. So what I'm looking out for here is a potential to form three-wave structure to the upside. Now, directly above where we are, we effectively have this trend line from our A to C, which is sitting towards this 1138. Now, if we do see price actually form a five-wave move here, what we could then get is a three-wave move down and then another five-wave structure up. Now, commonly we would look to target out this 0.618 area here at this 1176, which would be quite interesting zone to keep an eye on, because it would bring us back into these highs. Alternatively here, if this is just ABC, what we could see is just have this complete and then a break to the downside again. The key thing here is that we'd be looking for quite a violent move to the downside if this is the case, and we'd be looking for that potential that this move would be then looking for that fifth wave target. So what we'd want to see is a break of this low, and then potentially they would be looking for that idea of this lower target here of this is 0803 to the 665. However, if we are looking at this as a triangle, potentially we can actually bring this target into this area here, and it would be potentially a little bit higher here towards the 0856 to the 0788. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this idea here and see whether this fourth wave is already looking to complete, or we're looking to break down, or whether we still got that potential to push to the upside. Now, within this idea of a corrective structure here, what we were talking about previously is the possibility that this could be ABC, and what we were looking for is the possibility to find support down here in this area and look to push back to the upside. Now, given this as a current B wave here, what we'd be looking for as a one-to-one would be the 1611. However, we do have some confluence between the 786 and the 0.618 now with the top of this channel. So I will be keeping an eye on these different levels here. If we do start to see impulsive structure develop to the upside here, we can potentially look to push a little bit higher than this 1475, but we can't move past this invalidation area here of this 1785. So I'm going to be watching this to see exactly how we progress here. But if we do see a 5-wave move up that doesn't manage to push up past that invalidation zone, we need to be careful of the idea that this could just still be this 4th wave, and then we still look for that bigger break to the downside. Now, we could also argue that within the count here, what we could have is this as a bigger W wave. We're looking for this as an X, and what we were saying is that we could look at this as A, looking for a B wave, and then looking for this Y wave to the upside. Now we have actually come down here past the 0.856, and this is a very deep retracement. So if this is the case, what I'd be looking for ideally would be for structure to start to push to the upside in the C wave. Now, if we're looking at this in this case, we'd be looking for a minimum requirement of this 1357. So if we see this low continue to hold here at this 1045, potentially we could be looking for the C wave to start to develop. Now, looking at this as A, this is B, and then looking for a C, that 1-to-1 is actually currently pushing us here towards this 1290. If we do see some extension here, this 1236 is lining up quite nicely with the 0.618. And then if we do look to push up higher here, then potentially this 1382 is going to be quite interesting. And then as well as that, this 1.618. Now, the thing is, if we start pushing up past this 1618 level, we need to be careful this isn't actually developing as an impulse. If we count this slightly different, then we could actually be looking for that possibility of a 5-wave move to the upside, looking for the breakout. Now, the other way we discuss this is that potentially, instead of this being a 4th wave and then a 5th wave, we could actually have a low in place here. Now, if we have a low in place like that, what we were saying is that we could have this as a bigger 1, looking for wave 2, and then looking for this progression to the upside. Now, confirmation would only come here at this 1618 level, but what we'd be saying within this structure here is that potentially we could be looking at a series of 1s and 2s here, looking to actually see a break to the upside. Now, what we were saying is that potentially within this area here, we could have this as 1, and then we're looking for this as a wave 2. Now, the reason that I'm starting to lose faith in this is that it is still possible that this could be just a bigger W, X, and a Y pattern into this low here, and we could still see this rally. But we have come down once again to that 0.854, and I don't want to see this area get lost. If we come back down here again, it's going to be very unlikely that we're going to hold this invalidation point at this 1027. Now, if we are looking at this possibility, the first thing I'd want to see is a break back above these highs to invalidate that idea of this looking to extend out, whether that is in that 1-2 idea, or alternatively where this is potentially a 1 and a 2. We need to start breaking back above these key highs here to start, invalidating those more bearish counts. If we do start to invalidate those, what I'll be looking for here for a confirmation of this count is that this is 1, 2, and then we need to see a move up towards this 1618 level of this 1436. Now, if we do see something like this, this could then align with the idea that this 3rd wave comes in, we get a 4th, and then we look to push up for this 5th wave up towards this 1538. If we do see a move up towards this 1538 level, what I would then be looking for would be that potential of a 3-wave move back into this channel, and then looking for that possibility that this is going to actually extend out, where this becomes 1, 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this becomes another 1, 2, we break into this area here, and then we see a bigger break to the upside, looking for this higher target of this 2296. So this is going to be what I'm tracking now for as long as we continue to hold these key lows. If we start to break down below these levels, it starts to become more likely that we're going to be either looking for that 5th wave here, or potentially that this move could still look to find support above this 0901. But if we push down one more time here, it's starting to become very hard to see it protecting these lows. But until we actually cross them, this idea of this extension up here, where we could still see this as either A, B, and C, or alternatively 1, 2, and then looking for that third wave will stay alive. So this low is going to be very important within that bullish count. But ideally what I'd like to see now, if this is the case, I'd like to see us starting to get some impulsive structure to the upside. Now there is a potential here that we can start counting some of this impulsively, but we need to see whether it actually continues to hold out. So the way that I'm currently looking at this is that potentially within here we have this as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm looking at this potentially as a fourth wave here. It is possible that this fourth wave could also still be ongoing if we see something like this, and we come back into this yellow area, fail to break below this 1088, then potentially we could be looking for this yellow fifth wave still. Alternatively, it is also possible that this fifth wave could have truncated over here, where this becomes our fifth wave of the yellow count, and we're still looking for this white count fourth wave, which would be looking to hold this 1083. If we hold that 1083, then potentially we do have that possibility of extension here. And now it is always possible also within these counts that we could still be extending here. So if we continue to hold this 1093 area, we need to be on the lookout that this move could still become 1, 2, and then we get 3, 4, 5. And then what this would mean is that within here, effectively, we're starting to get some extension within the waves, where potentially what I'm counting as a completed move here is not quite completed. And we have this potentially as 1, 2, 3. Then we have this as a fourth, and then maybe that fifth wave is starting to extend out or something to that effect. That's most commonly the third wave, but we'll have to keep an eye on this, because if we do start to extend out here, we could still look for an additional 2 fifth waves to the upside, looking towards around this 1141 to this 1129 if this plays out exactly as I have it marked out. So within this count, what I would be effectively looking for here within this is that we form a 5-wave structure up. We find 3 waves down again, looking to maintain this level of this 1045. If we do actually hold that zone, what we could then see after that is that possibility of having a third wave to the upside. Now, if we do see something like this, we'd be looking for 5 waves up, 3 waves down, and then we'd want to see another 5-wave move to the upside. Our target area, depending on how low we come, but I've come off of this 0.618 here, would be up towards this area of this 1230. So there's a lot that needs to happen for this to confirm that it's starting to extend out here. Primarily, I want to see us start breaking these local highs here, and then these higher ones as well, to invalidate that idea that from here we could be looking at this as 1 and 2 as a flat, and then finally taking out this high up here towards this 1266. Now the key thing is that if we do get something like this, where we get this as potentially ABC, what we still need to be careful of here is the possibility that from this point we could still see continuation down. So it's going to be very important that if we're looking for bullish continuation up, any kind of 5-wave move to the upside, we need to make sure that the retracement is only in 3 waves. If we start to develop 5-wave structure to the downside, this would align more with the fact that we're going to start to see a bigger breakdown coming in here. And having a look at the daily CPR lines, what we can see is that we are currently above our central CPR lines here. Now, if we are looking for this move, looking to continue to trend to the upside, what I would be looking for is a break back above this R1 line. And then I'd want to see us making our way through these levels of this 1130, this 1156, and this 1175. If we move up here again, this can potentially turn into resistance at this 11 cents. And if we do, we could look to actually retest these central lines. Losing these central lines opens up the potential of us looking to target out some of these lower areas. This 1072, this 1044, this 1029, and this 10 cent area. If we do look to move down through these zones, these are potential pivot points within the market. Now, if we come over here and have a look at the weekly pivots, what we can see is that we have printed lower CPRs, but we are currently above our central lines here. Now, if we do look to move back down here, we can potentially look to find support between this 1092 and this 1078. If, however, we look to move to the upside, we could find resistance on this R1 line here at this 1125. If, however, we start to move through that level, other targets for this week would be this 1152 and this 1192. Now, price can always look to move through these zones, so we need to be aware of that. If we are starting to trend, sometimes price will move through all of these targets. Now, if we do, however, look to break down here and lose these central lines targets, for this week become this 1058. We have this 1017 and this 991 as potential downside targets for this week. Now, if we come over here and have a look at the monthly CPRs, we can see that we are still currently below our central lines here. These will potentially be resistance moving up into them at this 1120, 1142 and 1167. If however we start to flip these into support, what we could then see is price could be gravitated towards some of these higher levels here. We have this 1258, we have this 1421 and this area here of this 1537. If we start to reject to the downside, we could potentially look to this 0981 to come in as support, and then lower down here we have this level of this 0865 and this area of this 0703 as possible supports below us where we currently are. So going to be watching this to see whether that impulsive structure continues to play out. If we start to break these more local highs, that invalidates the idea of this looking to extend as a 1-2 and then that third wave down. And then what I want to see is what happens after we get this move. If this move does continue to extend out, and we have this as 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, and we get 3 waves down, then potentially what we are going to be looking for is that more bullish idea of seeing that continuation up. But if we just get a 3-wave move to the upside that fails to take these highs here, we need to be very careful of that idea of that continuation to the downside in a bigger 1-2, and then we look to break down. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.